What's up, Dog Nation? This is Jeff Centel. Got another episode of Before the Hedges every Wednesday night, brought to you by Kroger. I see Chevy. Two-time is the first commenter through the door. Honors go out to you. Lamar Woodall, Michael Baxter. How's everybody? Everybody that's joining us in on the Dog Nation podcast, the Before the Hedges podcast, that shows up on Spotify. It shows up on Apple. The Apple podcast platform. It shows up on SoundCloud. Now, we had some feedback in last week's show that it wasn't on the Apple podcast platform. So I went like a good fan of The Wire, the TV show program The Wire, and said, eyeball witness. I put an eyeball witness to the fact that the latest episode of the Dog Nation Before the Hedges podcast is actually on the Apple podcast platform. Sorry, that was just a way for me to try to take everybody through something, and also let you know that this show, which live streams right now on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, a bunch of other places, it is actually a podcast as well. How many of you guys knew it was a podcast, by the way? One of the things I want to say really early, because that's this type of thing a guy like me does, is I want to tell you about September 14th now, all the way up to October 31st. We're actually September 21st now. We're talking about Kroger. Kroger has scary good savings for the Hollywood season. Save up to 20% on Halloween decor, lights, and, of course, all your Halloween candy. Visit your local Kroger or go to Kroger.com/Halloween. And I'm going to tell you something. If you guys have ever done this before, I am going to, right around Halloween, I'm going to be in costume. That's what I always do. Maybe you see me before as Maverick. Maybe you see me before. What was that one year? I think Brandon was Batman and was I Superman? Maybe I was somebody else. Maybe I was Neo from the Matrix. Anyway, we we do fun things here on Halloween. Now, everybody's really nervous, angst, anxiety. Our main topic today are why the next 7 days are huge for Georgia wide receiver recruiting. And I guess we got to start with this. Jalen Hale, not a 5-star wide receiver on all the services, but a 4-star wide receiver, around the number 50 overall prospect. He made his commitment today. He's out of Texas. Georgia was in his final 4. Georgia was in his final 3. But there really was just a final 2. That was Alabama and Texas. A lot of people thought at one point Arch Manning was going to lure him to Texas. That wasn't the case. He chose Alabama today. I wouldn't say it's an upset, but Alabama now has 2 really marquee receivers in the 2023 class. Shocker, right? That's really not a big news flash, Alabama getting receivers. But these were 2 receivers I think that Georgia would take. Georgia would wanted to have those type of receivers in their class. And that's what, my friends, makes the next week so very interesting, vital, tangent, pertinent. Throw in your noun or adjective or verb in there. We've got 2 wide receiver targets. And if we want to talk about the first one, that's Hakeem Williams. And if we're going to call him a target, I would say he's currently being covered for Georgia. He's currently being covered by DeAndre Baker, Malachi Starks, and Champ Bailey. That's how hard. That's maybe how hard of a target it's going to be for Georgia to hit with Hakeem Williams. That decision here has changed a lot. We got a list of schools right there, but really you could probably lop off Georgia, and he could probably lop off maybe Pitt as well. Maybe definitely lop off Miami. But that decision is coming down to Florida State and Texas A&M. Pitt's probably the bronze medalist there. Georgia's probably 4th. So that guy is expected to make his college decision, and I think he's a guy that will keep his recruitment open. He won't shut it down. He will make his decision on 2 nights from now. Friday night, that's September the 23rd, and then we roll ahead to September the 27th, and that is the 4-star wide receiver Tyler Williams. Now, everybody, I could do a show every week about wide receiver recruiting, because I know each of you good people want to hear about Georgia getting the next Jermaine Burton or George Pickens or Dominic Blaylock or A.D. Mitchell or Dylan Bell. Because wide receivers are like Wide receivers are like when you're in the car dealer lot and you're in the dealership manager's office and you're in the sales manager's office and you're signing all the papers. The things that you want to feel good about your program and your offense is you want those souped up options. You want those luxury premium talent upgrades. And that's what these 5-star and 4-star receivers are. Folks, Georgia doesn't need 4 and 5-star receivers to win, but oh boy, it would certainly be nice if you can get the dealer to throw in the shiny new rims, which I'll equate here to a 5-star receiver. You're certainly going to take them. Tyler Williams is the nation's number 20 wide receiver. Now, we've been talking about Hakeem Williams for a very long time. We've been talking about Tyler Williams for a long time, with even probably more relevance to Georgia over the last couple of months. Here's why I think we've done a decent job of telling you guys all about the wide receivers and the wide receivers Georgia's in it with, a name like Anthony Evans. But, one of the things I wanted to do with this week's show was to give you a really good, this is a Quentin Tarantino type frame. When you see me do this right here, this is like John Madden on the telestrator with somebody going boom, or, look at this turkey leg or turducken right here. Dewey Robert. We're talking about that. Hale just committed to Alabama a few hours ago, actually. Not a huge surprise, but to frame this up, I think this is what I need to share with you guys. Of the nation's top 20 receivers, and I think we got a graphic to share with you guys as well. Of the nation's top 20 receivers, there are only 2 that are uncommitted. These are we're going to talk to, okay, well, let's go. We've got another one as well. Yeah, no, that's the whole slide here. But, what I see here is there are only 2 of the nation's top 20 wide receiver prospects that are undecided. Tyler Williams is one. Hakeem Williams is the other. But, guys, it goes a lot deeper than that. 41 of the nation's top 50 wide receivers have already made their college commitment. What does that mean? What does that mean for me as a steward of all things Georgia football recruiting? If Georgia is to add another marquee receiver, because right now they've got Yazeed Haynes and Raymond Cottrell. And Raymond Cottrell, I don't think he was rumored to be at Texas A&M this past weekend. I don't know if he made it there or not. Last time I had a conversation with him, which was about a week and a half ago, he still sounded steadfastly committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, and that's a top 103 overall recruit, a very highly rated receiver. But for Georgia, Anthony Evans didn't work out. He chose Oklahoma. For Georgia to really add another receiver to this class, especially a big name receiver, even besides a Tyler Williams, they're going to have to get in the flipping business. And for me, I've kind of identified 2 receivers to now I'm not going to say Georgia's going to flip them, but everybody asks me this question all the time is they want to know, okay, all these passing yards and all Georgia throwing the ball more. Is that opening up floodgates? Is that opening up lines of communication? Is it giving Georgia a comeback shot with a lot of these players? Well, I think it is, but I will say a comeback shot, not a certainty with anything. I mentioned Jerron Dickey. There's a guy out of California, East Palo Alto, California. Really, if you want to talk about ball skills and all the things that we thought made Hakeem Williams and stellar prospect, you got to say the same about Jerron Dickey. He is a nation's number 2 wide receiver. He's committed to Oregon. This is the type of recruit that I think Georgia could continue the relationship with and can get an official visit or can get a visit. And that is where Georgia needs to get in the ballpark. Another one I see is another receiver, nation's number 12 receiver, I believe. He's a top 80 overall recruit. And that is Deandre Moore out of Bellflower, California. That's what we're going on right there. Deandre Moore, a junior out of Bellflower, California. That's a guy currently committed to Louisville. I think that's a guy that Georgia could, get a visit and continue recruiting. And that's what the flip wide receiver conversation, I think, is probably going to be very telling down the line for Georgia with wide receivers. Why? Because Tyler Williams is going to make his decision next Tuesday, and that's going to be up to, Georgia needs to add another wide receiver in their class. One thing you will notice if you were watching Georgia's football game on Saturday in Columbia is they brought 3 freshman wide receivers on the 70-man travel roster to Columbia. That was Dylan Bell, Cole Spear, and also Denylon Morissette. So they have some decent young receivers, but That's what you're looking at right there. Georgia needing to continually add that game breaker talent to wide receiver. Now, if you want to sit here and get in a conversation with me and you're like, oh, okay, Jeff, well, it seems like Georgia's feeding the ball really well to the backs and the tight ends and some of the receivers on the short stuff right there. How important are these five-star receivers? It's a good point. Like I said earlier, I use that car dealer analogy. Like, do you really need those fancy rims? Do you need the halogen high beam headlights? Do you really need the Sport Plus package? Probably not. But those are things that a luxury program that Georgia basically has everything. That's the thing they actually need. If you want to say, hey, Jeff, this receiver question is really overblown. I know it's good for us to worry about and talk about when we look at the wide receiver board, but if you would point my attention to, hey, George Pickens hurt most of the season. Georgia still won the national championship without him. Go-to receivers were guys like Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. But when this is a talent acquisition business and the Bulldogs are trying to add as much talent in every area as possible, especially to keep up with a program like Alabama, that's where we're at today with wide receivers. Clarence Dawson, can you extend, or can you basically flesh out your question? Number 7, not good. Tell me, what are we looking for right there? Shannon Tipsy, yes, I agree. Georgia can certainly use an elite wide receiver. If they trotted out Blitnikoff Award candidates, it would certainly help Georgia matriculate the ball down the field a lot better. Give them a lot more options, open up the run game, all that stuff. I get it. And that's why I think everybody's going to take a lot of consideration looking at a guy like Tyler Williams and his decision next week. Kevin Fleet has a question. Any noteworthy JUCO receiver prospects this cycle? Yeah, Georgia was really in on Malik Benson. That was the other wide receiver that Alabama has a commitment from in this class. Benson was the nation's #1 JUCO prospect and #1 JUCO wide receiver. He committed to Alabama in July, and he also gave Georgia an official visit. That's what I'm kind of getting at. So we talked a lot right there about wide receivers and wide receiver recruiting. I want to make sure you guys know. I think the big things, I even have to do a better job of letting you guys know that, Tyler Williams and Hakeem Williams have been the names for quite a long time. But what's happening here is they're the only 2 out of the top 20 wide receivers in the country that have yet to make their college commitment. And actually 41 out of the top 50 wide receivers in the country off the 24/7 Sports composite. Those dudes are already committed. So it becomes a situation. Everybody loves that noun or that term for it. Is it flipmas? Will it have to be flipmas for Georgia? Probably so, if they want to add, 2 or 3 more really strong receivers to this class. We got some top targets to go over. We got another couple of things to roll over. But if you guys have a question, I always try to open the floor to the congregation, so to speak. Jerry Popham, how are you? Thanks for that comment. Nakia Copeland. Yeah, you're right. Georgia always needs the guys that can take the top off the defense. And they've currently CJ Smith is a guy that can take the top off. Arian Smith, when he gets back healthy, could take the top off as well. Randy Hall, I think I'm taking comments. Restream gives me all of the the interface we're using right now, Randy. The Restream gives me everybody's comments. I can see Facebook, I can see YouTube, I can see all of them at this time. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me see. And guys, while we're getting into it, let me see. I did some things to the top targets list this week that maybe a little premature, but this is just kind of where I think things are heading right now. Move some names off. I reduced the top targets list. Take a look at it right here, number 7. And you guys are going to say, hey, where's this name? Where is that name? Chris Peel, hearing a lot of stuff right here and there about Michigan. Hugh Nash, I did see your question right there. Chris Peel out of Providence Day in Charlotte, Michigan. That's a school. Jaden Davis, the 2024 quarterback target, also feels pretty strongly about Michigan as well. He's taking a good look at Michigan. That's a school, Michigan, Georgia, that are in the running there for four-star cornerback Chris Peel. Number 6 on the list is Roderick Robinson, currently committed to UCLA. He took a visit to Texas A&M this past weekend. So he's taking visits. I expect him to take a visit to Georgia, an official visit to Georgia for either the Auburn or the Tennessee game. Number 5 is David Hobbs. Another brilliant game this past weekend. It was like a triple overtime thriller. He ran for touchdowns. He caught the ball. He made sacks, forced fumbles, had a lot of effort plays. Really impressive defensive lineman in that Devontae Wyatt mode. Number 4, Damon Wilson. Damon Wilson is a name to know for Georgia fans in this class. I think he has that Trayvon Walker, Hakeem Williams type ability. Elite pass rusher, plays in 8A. If you guys noticed this week, Alabama also picked up the number 1 team in the country recruiting rankings wise. Alabama picked up another edge rusher, which I think complicates things a lot for them with a guy like Keon Keeley, who may go to Ohio State. Alabama got another edge rusher. Ohio State can potentially get an edge rusher in Keon Keeley, the former Notre Dame commitment. And then what happens for Georgia is maybe the best of the edge rushers, except for probably number 2 on that list. Damon Wilson might have a good shot at landing in Athens. Damon Wilson is saying right now that he'll give Georgia an official visit. Number 3, Jordan Big Baby Hall. Now, did you guys hopefully Christy's in this chat. I haven't seen Christy in this chat, but if you guys have seen Christy in this chat, shout her out or whatever, because I used her question on last week's Before the Hedges about Big Baby Hall. Jordan Big Baby Hall out of Westside High School in Jacksonville, Florida. Wanted to know where that nickname came from. If you saw our Dog Nation Gimme 5 segment last week, you got the words from the man himself, Jordan Big Baby Hall, about where that nickname came from. It's on the YouTube channel right now if you guys want to see it. If you guys want to see it, you want to learn about it, go back to that YouTube channel. Hey, guys, consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. You know, one of the things I want to do, and we don't really, I would say we don't really, the word I would use is sound off, call to action, bugle calls. Consider subscribing to the Dog Nation YouTube channel. We put a lot of our stuff up on there. Like I know after the South Carolina game, we put 7 videos up right afterward. I'm on a mission to put about 1 recruiting video up, 1 or 2 recruiting videos up. 2 or 3 recruiting videos up every week. I think the next one I'm going to put up is CJ Allen. I spoke to him after his game this past Friday. He played very well. You're just going to see a lot of content there. So, hey, I'm not going to come hat in hand. I'm not going to telemarket you guys to death. Consider subscribing to our Dog Nation YouTube channel. That's all I got to say. Top targets right there. Let me finish those off right now. You're going to see number 3, Jordan Big Baby Hall. Number 2, Samuel Mpemba out of IMG Academy. Bradenton, Florida. News is coming out today. I think Rivals.com had a report. I think it was Ryan Wright of Rivals.com was reporting today that Samuel Mpemba has narrowed down his selection process to 4 schools: Tennessee, Georgia, LSU. Those are the schools that he's narrowed his schools down to. I believe that the 4th school was Miami or Florida. For me, that's kind of not really a big surprise. Maybe the only news out of that is he's eliminated Oregon as an official visit possibility. I think Samuel Mpemba is going to make his decision in the next 6 weeks or so. I'm going to see him play on Friday night. I'll have video of him. I'll be able to tell you guys. I've got the Wire on my mind right now. Any Wire fans out there, because I'm going to use my second reference, but I'm going to put eyes on Samuel Mpemba live in his number 0. They're playing Central Phoenix City out of Alabama. That's the home of A.J. Harris. They're playing them on Friday night. Can't wait to see that game. I've had that one circled on my calendar for quite some time, and that'll be one of those another rare weekend, another rare Friday night when I will not be with the Peachtree TV broadcast with my buddy Brandon Adams and my good friend Rusty Mansell as well. because they want to see that really stinking good ball game. And then I got to be in Athens the next morning, probably 8:30 or so. So it's going to be a quick turnaround. My eyes might be a little heavy if you see me in Athens on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening downtown. That is your top targets. And people are going to go, what else? Well, what we've done with a lot of those names, some of those names are on the top targets. They've been moved to also paying attention to. We have a slide for that one as well. Also paying attention to the names there. Pretty, just going to roll them off. Jamarian Wilcox is on there. Marcus Steele out of Texas. We put Jurian Dickey, the 5-star wide receiver committed to Oregon, up there. Jordan Louis out of Georgia, current West Virginia commit. I probably need to put that up there. Deandre Moore, Louisville commit, Samson Okalola, 4-star edge Tamarian Parker, and also on that Central Phoenix City team. Had a great recent visit to Clemson, Quay Russaw and James Smith. That was the package deal. Right now at this time, you guys can interpret it any way you want to. I think Georgia is in a better spot with other recruits that they value and they prioritize ahead of those two very talented 5-star players out of Carver, Montgomery, and Montgomery, Alabama. Hakeem Williams has moved off the top targets list, and the 3-star running back Jamarian Wilcox out of South Paulding is also on there. The things I would think, I'm not really going to say that, I think Georgia would be doing better. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm going to pump the brakes on that. You guys got to realize that this defense, the pieces that they're bringing in, the potential of a Big Baby, the potential of a Damon Wilson, the potential of a Samuel Mpemba. Folks, those 3 names, if they come to the University of Georgia, I'm going to say it from the rooftops. You guys can keep receipts. Georgia has never had a defense that talented. If they bring in Jamal Jarrett, AJ Harris, Janelle Aguero, all these dudes, if they add the remaining top targets, some of those remaining top targets to this class, the defense is going to be at another level than you guys have even ever seen it for Kirby Smart in Athens. That's what we're talking about right there. That was also considered. I think somebody had a question. I'm going to try and answer it. The number 1 recruiting team in the country right now is Alabama. They have a composite score of 309. Going to be very, very hard for anybody to catch Alabama. It won't be very hard for Georgia to get to number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 2 is Ohio State. Number 3 is Notre Dame. They just slid in there with a recent commitment. Number 4 nationally, they have 19 commitments right now. They're actually about, I don't know if we would even start considering that they really have 19. I think the number for Georgia is really actually 18. They have, and eventually everything will sort itself out with that. But Georgia's the only school in the top 6 or 7, I think, that has less than 20 commitments. There's 6 in-state. There's 13 out-of-state. 1 5-star, that's A.J. Harris. 2 top 50 commitments. That is Janelle Aguero and A.J. Harris. 6 top 100 commits. 3 out of the top 5 highest-rated commitments are on the defensive side of the ball. Strong UGA class, another great UGA class. One of the things we got to say here, though, and that's why our show's about wide receivers. I think Georgia addressing, maybe they get a flip of a running back. Maybe they get a flip of a wide receiver. Maybe they get a commitment from Tyler Williams as well. Those are the necessary amplifications I need that I would like to see for this class to just hit all the high notes and be another stellar, tremendous class. That's what we have to offer right there. Georgia hasn't offered anybody since has offered 1 person since our last show. Again, you see the numbers there. Every week I want to show you those numbers because that's what Georgia is looking for in this class. Wide receivers, defensive linemen, and cornerbacks. Those are usually you see the low numbers there. That's because guys recruit their position so very well. Look at Todd Hartley, only 7 offers. Dale McGee, only 9 offers. Glenn Schumann at linebacker, only 15 offers. Only 12 quarterback offers. 16 interior lineman offers. Very, very, very specific recruiting for Georgia in the 2023 class. Questions. If you guys have any more questions, I'm trying to look at that. Randy Hall makes a great point there. Guys, you cannot recruit better linebackers than Georgia has coming in the 2023 class. That's why I think it's going to be so very hard for Georgia to add a player like Sammy Brown because you think about it. There's Jalen Walker, there's Xavier Sorey. Xavier Sorey is a redshirt freshman. There's Jalen Walker, a true freshman. You've got then Troy Bowles, Raylan Wilson, and then CJ Allen. Folks, I don't know if you saw this. Got to get back into the mode of sharing tweets with you guys. Jerry Dogs fan, I do not think Georgia is expected to take a quarterback at this cycle. They're not seeking a quarterback at all. Jaden Davis, Julian Sand, the 2024 quarterback target, not commitment. Not doing any slips there. That was just a slip of my tongue. 2024 quarterback target. He's actually visiting LSU this weekend. I spoke with him this week. He tells me that he has not yet set an unofficial visit date for Georgia. I would look for it to be one of those SEC home games, but he is looking to get out to Athens for a game again this weekend. That's what I'm sharing with you guys right now. But where I was at right there is I think one of the things I wanted to show you we normally get back to the tweets and Amanda McMary. I hope you're having a good day because you're pretty active here in our chat here on Facebook. But the thing I want to share is Raylan Wilson. There was a catapult. You guys know what catapult is, right? That's the GPS kind of tank tops harnesses players wear where they track their playing speed and what speeds they reach while they're on the games, while they're playing games. And an unheard of number for Raylan Wilson at 23 miles per hour. Folks, Keely Ringo and Arian Smith, those guys have only practiced at around 22 miles per hour at Georgia. That is probably the highest GPS catapult number I have ever seen for a defensive player. So that is a very strong number for Georgia's. And let's see, I think Raylan Wilson is going to be presented with his Under Armour jersey next month. Pierce Sperling, the Georgia All-American tight end, is going to be presented with his tomorrow at Santa Rosa Beach High School in South Walton, Florida. And Tyler Williams, also the name that's came up a bunch of times on our show tonight. He has also made his commitment to the Under Armour All-American game in Orlando. That is our Dog Nation Before the Hedges show for tonight, brought to you by Kroger. I want to say thanks to everybody for coming in and hanging out. Is everybody getting used to the 7:30 time? We're starting it a little early. We're trying to streamline all our Dog Nation shows where they all show up and we all go live at 7:30 every evening on our evening program. You have Brandon does his job so well, Dog Nation Daily in the morning. Well, this is the Dog Nation After Dark. Mike's on Mondays, Connor's on Tuesdays. Connor's actually on Sunday nights a lot now as well. I'm on Wednesday nights, and we try to bring you guys everything we can in terms of Georgia football information, Georgia football content. Wednesday nights are my gig, brought to you by Kroger. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the chat. We've taken a lap around all things, the wide world of Georgia football recruiting. It has been my honor and a pleasure to be your steward for that again on another Wednesday night. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Be safe on the roads, traveling everywhere. Folks, that has been your intel. I am Jeff Sintel. Be good, be blessed, and we will see you guys again on the pages of dognation.com. And if you guys are listening to the podcast, here comes that theme song from my man, King James. You guys have yourself a great weekend and a great evening. We'll catch you later on dognation.com.